Hello my friends and welcome back to another video. In the last video we went over how to give our ninja boy here a little bit of health by adding these health orbs, and when we go over him, his player health moves on this little guy here and then he gains 25 health. But that's not particularly helpful to the person playing the game because they will not be able to see this information over there. So in this video what we're going to do is create a beautiful health bar that will go down at the bottom here to tell our player exactly how much health they have in a nice visual way. So this is going to be a UI element. So what we need to do is go into Game Object, down to UI, and we're actually going to create a image. Now see, that created a canvas for me automatically, right? So I'm going to go into my scene view here, scroll back a bit, and this gigantic square here that is really huge comparatively speaking to my already kind of big map, this is the visual representation of the screen. So whatever I put on here, if I put something down here in the lower center part, it will show up on the lower center of the screen. So this is our game object right here, the image. We'll name him health bar, and we're going to move him so that he is down here. We'll resize it a little bit just to make it a little bit easier to see. We'll say 400 by maybe 30. Let's see how that looks. Now I can click on the game view right here, and I can see how it looks inside my game. It doesn't matter where my character moves in the game. If I was to play it, that health bar is going to stay just right there. Still doesn't do anything, but that's what it will generally look like inside my game. So now that I can see this, I'm going to click on it and just adjust it until I like kind of the way it looks. So let's say we can make this width about 500, I think. And the height actually looks pretty good at 40. So I'm going to keep it there. Maybe we'll make it a slightly different color. So we'll go into image, and then in here is color. And then I can select the background to be kind of whatever I want. Now this is going to be the background for my image bar, and it will hold an image slider that will be all the way full when we have 100% health and all the way empty and black when we have 0 health. So in order to do that, what we're going to have to do is take this health bar and duplicate it to make another object inside it, and that will be the actual sliding health bar that shows us how much health we have. So in order to do that, I'm going to click on the health bar and hit Control D, and that will make a copy. Let's change this so it's a little bit smaller. Let's say maybe 480 by 35. And then we'll change the color, since it's health, to red. You can already see that that size is working out pretty well. Let's try to change that maybe to 30 instead. That looks pretty good. Now, in order to make it so that this guy can actually slide back and forth, we have to give a material into our bar and make this a material that we can modify. So what I'm going to do is right click down here, and I'm going to create a new folder to store all of my materials that we'll be creating. We'll go inside there. We're going to right click, and we're going to create a square sprite. That's our guy here. We'll just name him square for now, and it'll make a nice blank white square. Now what a square is simply an image, and it's an image that is easily modifiable or manipulated within Unity. So I'll go back into my health bar here, and under source image, it looks for a sprite. I'll click that and I'll select our square. Now notice when I did that, I got a couple of interesting options here, right? I have an image type, which can be simple or can be sliced, tiled, or filled. We're going to choose filled, and from that I get a fill amount. 1 means all the way filled, and 0 means all the way empty. Now notice that this is kind of spinning in a little radial thing here, so we'll change radial 360 to be a horizontal fill, and fills from the left. So now we have our scrolling health bar. Now because this health bar object lives inside the health bar itself, we're going to child that underneath our health bar. That way, if I was to move our health bar at all, it will happily follow along. So let's go back. I'll rename this guy here to Phil because he is the health bar's fill. And that's basically it. We have our health bar all ready to go. Now we just have to code it. In order to code it, we're going to give it its own script. And the script will be for all of the UI elements that are going to be in our game. So I'll go into scripts, right click, create a new C# script, and we'll just call this game UI. Now that we have this script all set to go, we'll double click it. Now let's create a couple of variables so that we can assign our UI element, this taskbar here, and be able to manipulate it within our code. Now the first problem that we have is the using Unity engine part up here. This guy does not actually contain right away the scripts that we need to be able to manipulate a UI element. So we have to add another external reference using, it's going to be Unity engine dot UI. And that will give us access to all of the UI elements within Unity Engine. So up here in our variables, we'll create a public image, because our fill bar is an image, health bar. Now if I save that, we should be able to go into our Unity editor and assign our health bar to the script. But first, we need to actually put our script onto our scene somewhere. Having a script just sitting here inside this folder does not actually bring it into our game. It doesn't attach it to anything in our game. So we still have to create an object that will hold this script for us so that we can then access it and modify it. We could choose something that already exists, such as the player, but that doesn't really make any sense when you think about it, right? Our player isn't the one that's controlling all of our UI elements. Our player is controlling our player and maybe interacting with those elements. So what we actually need here instead, and what would make sense, would be to create an object that deals with all of the things that helps us manage our game in general. So how we do that is we'll right click and we'll create an empty object. So it'll just be an object that sits in our game. In this object, we can attach all sorts of scripts and other things to. So this game object, because it'll be managing our game for us, we'll call it underscore game manager, because it will be managing our game for us. The reason why we put the underscore in there is because later we'll probably be creating a script that is our game manager. So we don't want to confuse this object with the class and script that we're going to be creating later. So now that we have our game manager object, we can attach our game UI component to it, public void health bar. And then we need 2 bits of information about this. The first bit that we need is the amount that we want to update our health by. So that will be an int current HP. And then we need another integer to hold the max HP for that the user can currently have, because that may change depending on what their level is or if they have any modifiers in place. Add the double curly brackets, and inside here, all we're going to do is update the health bar fill amount, and we'll have it equal the current HP divided by max HP. Now if I look inside the fill amount, I can see that this wants to take a float. However, these two are currently set to integers. So what I'm going to do is cast these as float, which means I'm going to tell the code to interpret these integers as floating point numbers. All you have to do that is type in parentheses float right before the variable. And this will translate the integer, our current HP, into a float. Now all we have to do is go into our player controller and run the script to update the health bar every single time that the player gets some health. However, we run into a problem. At the moment, this guy has no way really of accessing that script, right? So if I just typed in game UI over here under the give health function, you'll notice that I don't have any access to the function that I just created, the update health bar. The reason why is because this is just looking at the script itself, not the current instance of the script that has all of the functions that's been loaded into the game. But because there's only going to be one instance of our game UI script running at a time, which makes sense, right? If we look at our game, unlike an enemy or a rock or a house or an NPC, there's only going to be one user interface open ever really in our game, and we'll only really need to have one script to run all of those user interfaces. So we can create what's called a singleton. A singleton is a single referenced instance of a script. To say it another way, we are saying that this script will only exist once inside our game, and there won't be copies of it. And I don't have to worry about there being any sort of conflicts that are going to happen. In order to do that, what we have to do is go back into here in our game UI script. And up here, we are going to create a public static. Static means that it's accessible to all of the game and doesn't really change much. Game UI, and we'll say that this is going to be the instance of our game UI, so let's just call it instance. Now I have to set this instance to equal this script as soon as it opens. So in order to do that, we need something that runs even before the start script runs. We need something that happens while the game is currently loading. So we'll use another method called the awake method. The awake method, it is called directly when the script instance is being loaded, so before the game even starts. And we're going to set the instance to equal this, very specifically this script. So we'll save that. Let's go into our player controller. Now all we have to do is type in game UI, which gives us that class, and then we look for the instance, that variable that we just created. And now inside here, we have access to everything that is in that script, including directly the health bar and our function update health bar. So in here, if we remember, we have a current HP and a max HP. So we can say our current HP will be equal to player HP, which is our variable that is set right here. And then the max HP is currently set to 100, so we'll just enter 100 in there. Let's save that and hit play. Let's see what happens. So you can see already the health bar equals completely full, right? Even though our player currently has a health of 0. The reason why is because we didn't initiate this variable. We didn't initiate the health bar. So we didn't tell it equaled 0 to start off with. We can do that in a few moments, but let's just run into this and see what happens. Boop. All right, there we go. We see that it went down to 25%. Nice. So let's fix our one problem. Go into the game UI, go into the game controller, and when we start, we'll say give health and we'll set it to 0. This doesn't make a lot of sense in the game world in general. You'd probably give your player a little bit more than 0 health when they're starting, otherwise they're already dead. But just for testing for right now, this is what we're going to do. And we can see that it loaded his current health, and if I go over and take up the health orb, it gives me 25% health, which shows that beautifully. Awesome, and that's pretty much it for our health bar. So this is basically it for our health bar, and it is a great start for what we're going to be doing with the rest of this game, as we now have a UI element. We have a way of communicating with our players directly without having to have them look over here and all of the goopy mess that they won't have access to anyways. In our next video, we're going to start going over filling up our world just a little bit and just making our game a little bit more interesting. If you like this video, please give it a like, and if you're looking for more content like this, please subscribe. We're publishing videos twice a week. On Tuesdays, we'll be giving out building challenges, and on Thursdays, we'll be doing coding stuff just like this. We'll be continuing with this RPG project for quite a while because, to be honest, it's kind of fun to build, and you guys seem to be liking it. If you have any suggestions or questions or any videos that you'd like to see, put it in the comments or join our Discord. The link is in the show notes. Also, check out our Teespring merch. We have Ninja Boy here on a shirt, on a sticker. Thank you guys. Hope you're having fun, and see you in the next video.